Hello, everybody. I hope you're doing well and that you're having a blessed Sunday. The message for today is the price of disobedience, and I'll be reading from 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 36 to 46. Then the king sent for Shimei and said to him, "Build yourself a house in Jerusalem and live there, but do not go anywhere else. The day you leave and cross the Kidron Valley, you can be sure you will die. Your blood will be on your own head." Shimei answered the Lord, "What you say is good. Your servant will do as my lord the king has said." And Shimei stayed in Jerusalem for a long time. But 3 years later, two of Shimei's slaves ran off to Ashish, son of Makkah, king of Gath, and Shimei was told, "Your slaves are in Gath." At this, he saddled his donkey and went to Ashish, yeah, at Gath in search of his slaves. So Shimei went away and brought the slaves back from Gath. When Solomon was told that Shimei had gone from Jerusalem to Gath and had returned, the king summoned Shimei and said to him, "Did I not make you swear by the Lord and warn you? On the day you leave to go anywhere else, you can be sure you will die. At that time, you said to me, 'What you say is good, I will obey.' Why then did you not keep your oath to the Lord and obey the command I gave you?" The king also said to Shimei, "You know in your heart all the wrong you did to my father David. Now the Lord will repay you for your wrongdoing. But King Solomon will be blessed, and David's throne will remain secure before the Lord forever." Then the king gave the order to Benaiah, son of Jehoiada. Hope I didn't butcher that. And he went out and struck Shimei down, and he died. The kingdom was now established in Solomon's hands. Now, in this passage, we clearly see that Shimei disobeyed by doing what he thought was right instead of doing what he knew was right. He initially agreed to obey the king's command, but 3 years later, when his slaves were in a particularly difficult situation, took it upon himself to take over the situation and pave his own way towards saving his slaves. But he shouldn't have done that because he was under the king's covering, and at the moment he stepped out of that covering, he wasn't protected by it, and he ended up doing wrong. Even if he saved his slaves, it could have been done differently. Maybe the king could have gone to save them. So what this makes me think about is the difference between a good opportunity versus God's opportunity for you. Coming back to this case, he thought that saving his slaves by himself would be best for them, but he did that by disobeying what he was initially told to do. And a lot of us tend to do the very same thing when things get hard. I'll use a personal example. I used to get injured a lot, and instead of doing what I needed to do to recover, I would at times think that it would be better for me to just push on, run with the injury, play football with the injury, and it would just lead to more suffering, more pain, rather than just doing what you know was right, rather than doing what I knew was right, which would be to recover and take the necessary time to come back with a better foundation. Now, today, I actually was meant to run a race, but I decided to pull out because my knee wasn't feeling 100%. And I was just thinking of all those times where I would take the situation and take the matter in my own hands, and remember how it always ended, and it never ended better than how I came in. I was slightly injured, and then it got worse. I was not feeling so good, and then it got worse. And this morning, I decided to do things differently and pull out of the race. And I feel good. I have 2 more races coming this week. Hopefully, I'll feel better by then. But if not, I won't necessarily force it. Now, there are times where you'll have to, push through because you won't always be 100%. And if you don't do anything, then you won't get anywhere. So you also need to know when to, you know, push through, but you shouldn't always push through and take opportunities that seem good for you. You know, in my head, I initially didn't want to pull out of the race because I was missing out on a potential trophy, right? So far, I have 2 trophies, and I want to get as many as possible. Um, so it was easy for me to. It would have been easy for me to completely ignore my body and just chase the trophy and chase another achievement. But that's not always what it's about. There's times where you'll have to be a bit more patient. There's times where things will not go according to plan, and you'll just have to, you know, be still, pull back, and work on coming back with a better foundation. Now, where this comes from, I think it comes from a place of fear, right? Because you're faced with a hard situation, and since God might not be giving you an immediate answer or an immediate fix, I guess, you decide to take it in your own hands because you think that is the best thing to do. You think that acting quicker will solve the issue or make things easier. Now, it might make things better for a while, but further down the line, you'll very quickly realize that it was a bad idea. And I want to encourage you guys to not be too hasty and not be too quick to act on your fear. Now, it's human to feel, nervous, unsettled in hard times. I mean, you feel what you feel. I mean, it is what it is. But it doesn't mean that you have to act on that. Just make sure that whatever you do is spirit led. Because when you don't, go about your day to day life in the spirit, you may be doing yourself good short term, but you need to think about the long term. And today, I thought about the long term, and I don't regret it because I know what would happen if I pushed through like back in the day. It wouldn't have gone well. So I just want to encourage you guys to be a bit more patient and let God's covering cover you. Since you're not directly under His covering in that specific situation, whatever happens to you is not really in His control. Not because he cannot, but it's because you have willingly decided to get out of His covering and pave your own way. And that's where a lot of bad and dangerous things can happen to us. So just be wary, be careful of that. And yeah, stay under God's covering. Things might take a bit more time, but you'll be good.